Hey guys, Gradysmom here with Cooking Series Volume 17. This is a casserole recipe. It's just something that I've made throughout the years, and I usually just kind of call it a broccoli, cheese, ham casserole. However, today I'm using Canadian bacon. I just have to use this up. It's been in my freezer for a handful of months and it's time to use it. Usually I make this with ham. I either use ham steak or I used chopped up deli ham that's kind of been thick cut. But again, today I'm using Canadian bacon. So for this recipe, you're gonna need the ham or Canadian bacon. You're gonna need some broccoli. You can use fresh broccoli. You could even use canned broccoli if they even make that. I'm not sure. I'm just gonna use one of these steam fresh broccoli bags just because I already had it. So I'm just gonna steam this in the microwave and then chop it all up. So kind of save myself a little time rather than using fresh, but fresh would be perfectly delicious as well. You're gonna need some cheese. I am using, of course, my favorite cheese, which is the Sargento 4-State Cheddar. You're gonna need about 8 ounces. So this bag's only half full, so I'm gonna use the rest of this and then half of this bag. You're gonna need some black pepper, some parsley. You're gonna need a small cooking onion. You're gonna need butter and flour to make a roux, which is a thickening agent for the sauce. You're gonna need cream of mushroom soup. I'm only gonna use half this can, so you're only gonna need about half of this portion here. You're gonna need some garlic. You can use fresh garlic. I'm using this minced garlic in a jar. Finally went out and got the big jar because I kept going through the little ones so fast. You're gonna need some Ritz Cracker. You can also use the Townhouse crackers or any buttery, savory cracker, which is gonna go on top as a kind of crispy, savory sort of topping. And lastly, you're gonna need noodles. I am using egg noodles. I've made this before with elbow noodles, but usually I use egg noodles. I like the shape and the texture. And then just some cooking spray to spray your casserole dish. So first what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and get my water boiling for my pasta, so that's waiting for me. I'm gonna get this bag in the microwave and steam it up and chop it up, and then I'll show you guys how to put this all together. P.S. You're gonna need whole milk too, guys. Okay guys, so I have my Canadian bacon chopped up. Pretty good amount here, so I have that on a plate ready to go. I have my onion diced up pretty fine. Fine because I don't want big huge chunks of onion in the casserole, and I just think it works better texture wise. So over here on the stove I have my water getting ready to come to a boil in just a moment. I have a large skillet that I'm going to throw some butter in and get the onion sauteing up. And then in my microwave, I have my steamer bag that just got finished. I'm just going to let that sit in there for just a minute. And I'm going to go ahead now and get my onions and butter in the pan. Okay, so onions and butter are in the pan. The butter's just going to melt. I'm just going to kind of mix these around a little bit. And this isn't going to take long. We just want the onions to get a little translucent. So again, I'm just kind of spreading them out a little bit. I think I'm going to throw in my garlic as well. Grabbing a spoon. Just get my garlic open. I'm going to throw in about a heaping teaspoon here. So like that, heaping teaspoon. I love garlic though. Okay, so garlic is in. I have my heat on, I don't know, medium high. I'm gonna go ahead and throw in some black pepper, some nice generous shakes, and then kind of just let this do its thing. So I'll give you guys a glance when we get the heat cranking here. All right guys, so my pasta is boiling. My onions are just starting to kind of simmer a little bit. So I took my broccoli out of the steamer bag and I'm just have it on my cutting board, and I'm just gonna kind of chop it up, not dice it, but any, big chunks. I'm just going to kind of run my knife through. Just because there's a lot of pieces like this, guys, like the stem, and it's perfectly fine to eat, but I just don't want huge chunks of stem. So I am just kind of, again, rough chopping this broccoli down so it's not as chunky. And I can smell that onion and garlic going, and that is one of my all-time most nostalgic smells of life. I remember as a kid, especially on Sundays, every single Sunday of my life, I would smell that particular smell, which is the smell of onions and garlic together with a little olive oil, that my mom was making homemade Sunday sauce. And it just, every time I smell it to this day, no matter where I am, it always brings me back to when I was a kid. So love that smell. Okay, so this looks pretty good. Again, you don't need it to be perfect. Just get those big chunks out of there. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this broccoli right onto this plate because these two things are going in together. And then let's take a look over at the stove and see what's going on here. So again, water's boiling. This is sauteing nice, smelling so good. So we are doing pretty good so far. And I'm gonna get started on my Ritz crackers, making them into breadcrumbs. Okay guys, so onions and garlic are done. And done, I just mean a few minutes. They just needed to be translucent like that. So I added them right to the plate. So that pan over there is empty now, and I'm gonna make my sauce in there in just a moment. But first I wanna get started on the Ritz crackers. You're gonna need about that much. So I don't know, maybe 3/4 of a normal size sleeve. These are the mini sleeves. So I'm gonna go ahead, get these out and put them in a baggie and crush them up. Okay guys, so pasta is drained. That's sitting in the sink in a colander. I have my Ritz crackers in here. I'm just gonna loosely seal it. And then all you're gonna do is just use your hand. You could use a can like this. You could just use a can of cream of mushroom soup, whatever you wanna do. But I just kinda use my fingers. Ritz crackers are not that hard to mash up. And I just kind of make them into breadcrumbs. They don't have to be baby fine. I like some of them to be a little chunky. Takes just a couple seconds. So I want everything waiting on me, okay? So that's pretty good consistency. And if there's a few bigger chunks, that's fine. So that's, this is ready. My plate's ready. My pasta is drained. Time to make the sauce and put this all together. Okay. So the important part, the sauce. I'm putting my burner on right here. This is just the pan that I cooked the onions and garlic in. Also at the same time, I'm gonna get my oven preheated to 400. So that is gonna be waiting for me as well. I'm gonna go ahead and get my butter and flour in here and make my roux. Okay, so we're gonna do equal parts of flour and butter. So I did 3 tablespoons of butter, and we're gonna do 3 tablespoons of flour. And again, this is a roux. It's a thickening agent. It's what is going to make a nice creamy sauce. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my spoon going. A little bit above medium heat, guys. And just gonna kind of work this in, and it's gonna kind of form a ball, like a doughy looking ball. And this is definitely crucial if you want a nice, creamy, delicious casserole. So see how it's kind of forming like a doughy looking ball? That's what we want. Okay, and then this little ball is going to thicken our whole casserole. So we're gonna let this kind of cook just for a couple minutes because we want that raw flour taste out. So I'm just gonna kind of scrape the sides in and make sure all of this is there, and then just kind of let this hang out just for a couple minutes. And then to this, we're gonna build the sauce, which we're gonna add the cream of mushroom soup and the milk, and then we're gonna dump everything in and coat the noodles. Okay guys, so just a couple minutes have gone by. The next thing you're gonna wanna grab is a whisk. And I'm gonna take my milk and very slowly add the milk in. Again, slowly, because it'll scald if you add too much milk at once. So you're just gonna kinda add it in and whisk it into that dough ball, again, which is the roux. And you're gonna need about a cup of milk total, but again, I'm kind of doing it in a little bit of a batch form. And then you're gonna whisk it into the roux. And everything is waiting for me, all the other ingredients, which is what you want. So the milk just disappeared right into that roux. Perfect. gonna add another splash of milk. And the whisk is really key. You definitely want to use a whisk. Okay. Next we're gonna add half of that cream of mushroom soup. Well, looks like about half. Okay, now I'm gonna use my spoon and get this cream of mushroom soup into the roux. That. Looks like it still needs a little bit more milk, so I'm going to go ahead and get the milk in just a little bit. Just kind of work it all in together. So I'm just going to keep stirring this, guys, and I'll show you how to get to the point where we are ready to go forward with the assembly of the casserole. Okay, guys, so just a couple minutes have gone by, and we almost want it like the consistency of almost like a pancake batter. See how it just kind of slides off, but it's not super thick? Okay, so I'm going to turn the heat off because it's nice and hot. And first I'm going to go ahead and get my noodles in, my egg noodles, right into this pan. Again, heat off. And then we're just going to kind of break them up and get this coated in that sauce. And again, it's going to stick on those noodles nice and create a nice, flavorful, creamy sauce with a little bit of that cream of mushroom flavor. And you don't want it to be wet. We're looking for more of a coated. And since this is going to bake in the oven, it's going to be nice and creamy and flavorful, and already smells so good. And the good stuff isn't even in yet. And this is such a universal recipe. You could really throw anything in here. You could throw in leftover chicken, any vegetables you want, sausage, you could throw anything in here. This is just the way that I usually make this. See how it's nice and coated, almost like the consistency of mac and cheese almost? So that looks perfectly coated. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and get the broccoli, the onion, the garlic, and the Canadian bacon in, so pretty much everything else. So all that's really missing from this equation right now, guys, is the cheese and the breadcrumb. Now the cheese is not the star of this show, okay? The cheese is just mainly for topping, because the cheese and the Ritz Cracker are gonna create a nice cheesy sort of savory crust. So again, we're gonna just fold this in all together, and all the flavors are gonna get nice and yummy. And I absolutely love the combination of broccoli with ham. Always have. And for Christmas, remind me to get or ask for a bigger pan. So again, my oven is preheating. It's actually almost at 400 as we speak. I'm just gonna keep combining it like this, guys, and I'll show you how we set it all up in the casserole dish. Okay, guys, so we're ready to assemble. So I have a 9x13 baking dish here. And what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna go ahead and get about half of the mixture in. Okay, I'll just get this set up here. I did spray my casserole dish with the cooking spray. And again, I'm gonna get about half of the mixture in here. Now this makes a lot, so this is a really good way to feed a larger family. In our case, I'll have leftovers for lunch. We can have leftovers for dinner, whatever the case may be, but it does make a good amount. Okay, so that's roughly half. Doesn't have to be precise, but that's roughly half. Okay, so I'm just gonna even it out, use my spoon to even it out so it bakes evenly. Then I'm gonna go ahead and get some parsley, sort of in the center. Do some parsley. Then I'm also gonna do just a little black pepper. I really like black pepper. So we have that. If you wanted to get fancy, you could add some cheese in here. I'm just gonna save the cheese for the top. So now is gonna come the other half of this. It smells really good. It's very comforting. And a lot of flavor in here, a lot of flavor. I think it's gonna be really good with a Canadian bacon. And it's a nice way for me to use it up as well. So I'm just using my spoon to press everything down as well. And as you can see, guys, this makes a good amount of food. Just getting every last bit out of my pan. I love casseroles. Okay, so I think that's pretty much the extent of the pasta. So I'm just gonna spread it out again, as even as I can. Looks pretty good. Okay, and I'm gonna just give my hands a quick wash, and then we're gonna cheese and Ritz Cracker it. Okay, so let's get our cheese on. This is about half of a 8-ounce bag, so this is roughly 4 ounces. Not too heavy, just kind of medium, you know, as far as the amount of cheese I put on. Let me get the other bag open. And then we're gonna use half of the other bag. So again, roughly 8 ounces, give or take. So here's the other 4 ounces. And again, doesn't have to be completely cheesy. I mean, the more cheese, you know, to your preference if you guys want more cheese or less cheese, but I just sort of do a medium amount. Okay, and then lastly, the Ritz Cracker breadcrumbs. These really make it over the top in my opinion. So I just pour them all over the top, and then I just lightly use my hand to like fan them out a little bit and spread them out. And these to me are just what sets this casserole over the top. I love the crispy crust that it forms, and Ritz are so buttery and savory anyways that it's just so good. So again, just kind of spreading it out lightly, evening it out, and it just works. The Ritz Cracker topping just works really well with the cheese, guys. Okay, so it's spread out pretty well. I'm gonna go ahead now, and now I'm gonna push it down. Now that it's spread out, I'm just gonna use my hands and push it down. And that looks pretty good. I don't know about you guys, but I would eat it just like it is. So, oven is ready. I'm gonna go ahead and get this into the oven for about 30 minutes at 400, and I will show you guys how yummy and delicious it looks when it comes out. Okay guys, so here it is, fresh out of the oven and still sizzling. Super, super delicious smelling. So I'm gonna go ahead and get a bowl and dig in. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and get a piece out here. Oh, it smells so good. Love how good this smells. Well, that looks like a pretty good start. Yummy. So yeah, plenty. Look how much I have here, guys. Plenty to eat, plenty to enjoy. So yummy. And just a real crowd pleaser. Again, you guys can use any real combination that you want as far as meat, veggies. I just happen to like the broccoli with the Canadian bacon or ham. And it's really pretty very simple to make. Comforting, perfect for all year. I feel like kids would really like it. Hopefully my kid will eat it. And I just love it. This is an awesome dish. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I will have all of the ingredients and instructions down below as always. Also, if you want to check out my playlist, I have a playlist created for all my cooking videos, both before the cooking series started as well as the cooking series videos themselves. Hope you guys all have a great day, and I will see you all very soon in my next video. Bye guys!